Hi again, Stuart Webb at The Complete Approach with another one of our It's Not Rocket Science 5 Questions Over Coffee. And today I'm joined by Jannine Barron, who is got a business mentor with a real special interest in brand activism and climate change. She uses really simple ideas to help small businesses to simplify their complex marketing ideas and get them to scale their business with ease. And she's really on a mission at the moment to support entrepreneurs to create brands and services to change the world and to do zero harm with their products and solutions. I think it's a really brilliant thing. So, Jannine, thanks for joining us for 5 questions over coffee. I hope you've got your coffee. Mine's here with me at the moment, and excellent water. It's just as good. Probably less more healthy than what I'm drinking at the moment. So, Jannine, welcome to these 5 questions. Let's start with what's the biggest challenge your ideal client has, which you're sort of helping them to solve.
Great. First of all, thank you, Stuart, so much for having me. The biggest problem my ideal clients have is probably connecting with the right people, reaching the right decision makers, and getting specific support that supports a purpose-driven business. So there's a lot of coaches and programs out there, and when people start a business, they're looking for what kind of support they need. And the most important thing is to find someone who's walked the path before you so that they're an expert in your area.
I love that, Jenny. I really do. And you know, that brings us to the second question. So what's the common mistake that people make when they try to solve a problem without any help? You know, they haven't walked that path. You've walked it, you've talked it. How do you ensure that, you know, what is it they're doing which they get themselves into trouble?
I think that there's a lot of programs and coaches out there that will tell you they can help you do anything. And the reality is that if you get seduced by, you know, most people I meet, they've been through 3 or 4 coaches already. So they're just not quite feel it. They're thinking something's missing. So what ends up happening is they start a business, but they're playing small. They don't take that next step, that sort of impossible step that they really want. They don't charge enough money. They don't create that dream product or course that they really want. They're sort of being held back because they just haven't found their right people to hang out with, or the right mentor to support them, or just the right tribe, if you want to use that word. And so the effect of that is then they're not living their full potential. That ends up creating some disappointment, some health issues, and then you end up really being in that mindset problem. So there's a multiple problems that if they don't get the right help. But it can be summarized by playing small and it's because you're not feeling like you're in the right company. We all speak up when we feel like we've found our tribe. We all know that feeling, and then you can really shine. So it's I'd say keep looking, take your time, and find your tribe before you get the support.
Do you know, I think that's really valuable as a mantra there. You know, you're right. We do, it's not just a lack of confidence, is it? It's about that sort of, until such time as you understand the message, you understand the people you're trying to talk to, their pains, what they understand as the thing that you bring to them to solve their problems and help them to do good and to be better. You don't know necessarily what you're trying to say to them, and it's getting that clarity around it, isn't it?
Yeah, and when you're in a sort of a general course, people are very skilled at sort of ticking the boxes on business planning, marketing, you know, financial planning, investment raising, all those things. But if they're not speaking your language, then there's always something missing. So, yeah, go for specific industry advice. Not like if you're an accountant, don't go to a hospitality mentor. Just to use an obvious example, but it's the same in green business. It's like if you really want to work with someone who's done this before, understands ethical supply chains, understand what a carbon decarbonization means, you know, knows the industry terms.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. It's great advice, and that's a real specialism that you're bringing to the market, isn't it, Jannine? You've done this. You've been there. You've written you've written the rule books for this sort of thing.
We did literally pre-internet. You know, we were it wasn't even called an ethical supply chain then. We just went out looking for organic products and people who could make them and people who grew cotton without chemicals. And we did all that without the internet. So yeah, I've got a track record of 4 businesses. And I've made all the mistakes as well as all the successes, which is the other thing. You definitely want to work with someone who's made mistakes. You know, anyone who's, you know, everything's rosy, run a mile. It's not true.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, you know, I can remember saying that to one of my clients not so long ago when they turned around and said, well, you know, how should I believe you? And I said, well, I'm telling you how not to get burned like I did. I'm hoping you're going to get away with a slight scold. I have got a 3rd-degree burn I could tell you about for hours. You know, you need those people that have got the stories, the war stories, the scars that they can turn around and go, don't do this. That's the wrong thing to do.
But also the contacts, because when you've been in an industry, you know, I remember one of my clients was saying once, my dream is to get my product into this very particular store. And I was like, oh, Tracy, I'll give her a call. You know, so, you know, I think when people are starting, they've got their dream, their idea of their dream shelf they want to be on, or their ideal client. You know, you need to, and that's what I was saying before about the right decision makers. You need to know how to be with the people that make the decisions about your product and how to access those people.
Brilliant. I love it. I love it, Jannine. So what's that valuable free resource that you think you can bring to the audience to help them get to where they need to be?
You know, I think you'll relate to this too, Stuart. When you've been in business as long as we have, you don't go for the sale anymore. You go for the genuine alignment, because I've only ever had to refund one person. And I think I knew at the beginning of the journey, in all honesty, it probably wasn't the right match, but I was so keen to help everyone that I took that on. And the valuable lesson I learned from that was interview people, as many people as you want, and make a decision about the right person for you and take your time. So for me also, like I'll say no to people now. I say, look, I don't think we're a good match, but I'd recommend you speak to so-and-so. So my offering is to speak with me for 45 minutes. And I promise that in that 45 minutes, I will give you amazing value. And whether we continue to work with each other or not, I'll help direct you to the right alignment. So that's my big one.
And how do people get a hold of you for that, Jannine?
Yeah, so they can go to, I think there's a Linktree link running across the screen right now. And they could also email me if they can't see the link running, and at just JannineBarron@gmail.com. And also the product mentor.
You better spell Jannine and Barron, because I know there are multiple R's in there, aren't there?
There are, yes. Jannine is spelled many ways. So mine is JANNINEBARRON@gmail.com. Email
Brilliant.
me saying, I saw you with Stuart today. I'm kind of intrigued. It's a sort of, you can only win from it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Jannine. I think I interrupted you before I asked you to spell that. Was there something that I cut you off before you finished?
It's fine.
Okay, brilliant. Right. Okay. So you've talked a lot about sort of the things that the scars, the way that you were inspired to do this. What was the concept or book that really sort of brought you into this space that you know gave you the inspiration for all of this?
You know, it's interesting. I think way back, I have to say Anita Roddick has always been my hero, and she made me believe that it was possible to do ethical business in the first place. So she was my hero. I used to read everything she wrote. But when I 2 years ago, when I sold my last company, which was an organic baby company, I naturally fell into business mentoring. And the one resource, I have to say, I feel like every single book's been written because of these 2 books. And one is way back in, I think it was the 1920s in the USA, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Mm-hmm. Extraordinary book that I think if you haven't read that, you absolutely have to. But before he wrote that, and it's great because you're talking to me on International Women's Day, so I love what I'm about to say next. And who knows if Napoleon Hill got his inspiration from her? We'll never know. But there's a lovely woman called Florence Shinn, lesser known, but she also wrote about all the same concepts of Napoleon Hill. But she also included intuition. And I think this is I currently run a women and men's mentoring group. And we talk about intuition. This is a great part of how women operate. We do use our intuition as well as our strategy. So I'd highly recommend the complete works of Florence Scovel Shinn. And again, if you didn't quite hear that right, just reach out to me and I'll send you the link.
Do you know something? It's amazing that you mentioned her. I actually didn't come across her until after I read Napoleon. And it was one of those moments when you see that and you look at it and go, wow, he really picked up some ideas, didn't he? But I suspect, like so many of these things, she was a woman who was therefore disregarded. He wasn't, and therefore suddenly became the big management thinker, which so often seems to happen in these things, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I think the people who will appreciate her work are the people who love the concepts of Napoleon Hill, but sometimes get a little bit overwhelmed by the seminar style mechanistic way of thinking. So they resonate, they know this message is important, but they're looking for a different energy in the way the words are written. They'll definitely appreciate Florence's work instead. So you spell that, her surname is Scoville, Scovel, Shin, Shinn.
I've made a note so that when I put the notes out on this, we put her name in the notes so that people can sort of pick that sort of thing up. I think that's important. Okay, so thank you for all of that, Jannine. I'm just going to throw this open now. Is there a question you think I should have asked that I didn't? And this is an opportunity for you to sort of let us know about things that you're thinking about at the moment that you really think we should know about.
Okay, great. So I'm big on simplicity. You kindly introduced me at the beginning and you said that I simplify complex marketing strategies. I like to make everything simple because I think the one thing in business people have in common is they get overwhelmed working long, hard hours. And I'm like, begone the long, hard work. There's got to be another way. So I'm interested in a new paradigm of doing business. And we're currently experimenting with that in this fabulous women's mentoring group I'm running. So if you were to ask me another question, I would say, how many courses or books should I be reading? And I would say, immediately go and unsubscribe from pretty much everything you're doing, but choose one or two really great inspirational mentor guides. So that's, overall strategist. One or two maximum marketing newsletters. And I have to say your one is brilliant. I've only got to know you recently, but incredible. So definitely make Stuart one of them. But no more than two, because if you're getting information from too many sources, you'll just end up overwhelmed and spending too much of your time absorbing information that you can't implement. And then if you're a green business, I would increase that a little bit for the climate change material, because this is really new radical territory and there's some fantastic, really simple stuff out there. So I'd say no more than 3 climate change type references coming in. So simplify your information and simplify who you follow and work on your business instead of thinking and learning about how you should, because then you won't have any time to actually do it. The other thing ask is, if I may, is what is the difference between marketing and a marketing strategy? Because they're two very different things. And I think you're probably one of the few people that understands this. And that's one of the things I work on, is I love to identify gaps for people. So often people are doing things pretty well. They've got a business, it's going okay. They're just wondering why it's not scaling. And that's where you come in as a strategist and you say, there's the gap. And then we work on that gap. And so know the difference between the doing and, I would say, get off your balloon occasionally and have a look. Get rid of some junk and focus on what's important. So,
do you know, that is a really key piece, and it's interesting you picked up on that, because I'm very big on, you probably picked up on a bit of this, I'm very big on trying to talk to people about what is it you're trying to get to, what's the outcome you're looking for, because so often people are doing so many good things and you look at it and go, but why are you doing that? Because that doesn't add one thing to this that you're trying to achieve over here. And they look at you and go, but that's a really good thing to do. And I go, yeah, it's a good thing to do, but not for you. You're trying to do this. That doesn't help you do this. People lose sight of that, because so often we're in the weeds, we're trying to do stuff. We go, that's a really interesting thing to do, but it's not going to help you achieve this objective. So do what you said, get up into the canopy. Be up in the tree canopy, look down and go, do you know something? We seem to be going off in that direction, and actually we should be off over here. What's all this about? That's a really key thing to do. And I love what you were just saying there, but I'll just add to it, and I hope you don't mind me adding a bit to this. Every so often, guys, take half a day out once a month and just turn off the phone, turn off the laptop, sit there and go, are we going in the right direction? Because that thinking time can add days to your month. And people will often say, I can't afford to take half a day off to do that. Believe me, you'll save yourself so much more than half a day in the long term, because you suddenly realize, I should be unsubscribing from that newsletter. I'm reading it, but getting nothing from it. I am not doing enough reading about this, and I should be doing reading about that. That's going to really gain days for you every month.
Yeah, and look, I see it all the time. I know we've got to finish up, but I just, I love that, just to mirror that. People they don't have half a day because they've got to go and fix their Instagram account. Maybe you don't need an Instagram account. Maybe the half a day would show you that.
We could probably talk for many more hours about this, and by that stage we would fix the whole of the internet. But you're absolutely right. Too often people are sort of doing things because somebody said you've got to do this, but you haven't worked out why you're trying to do it, and therefore how that adds to your overall strategy. And just one other thing, people get really confused. I was a much younger, younger person when somebody sort of said something to me about strategy, and I was too I didn't realize I shouldn't ask stupid questions at the time. I've since learned asking the stupid questions is never ever a bad thing. And I went, what does that mean? What is a strategy? And they just looked at me and went, well, it's the way you're going to do stuff. And I went, oh, I can understand that. Strategy is a really complex word, but when you say it's just the way you do stuff, you go, oh, I get it. Oh, so we shouldn't be doing that. We should be doing that. Yeah, that's a strategy. I'm like, oh. And it was one of those light bulb moments. You sit there and think, we just don't simplify. We got to simplify all the time. Yeah. And we're back to where you started.
If you don't have a strategy, I would literally stop all your marketing this week and sit with a strategist.
Fast. Just work out what you're trying to do and why.
Yeah. And that's what I love to do. And that's what inspires me about life and business still. So thank you, Stuart.
Jannine, I think that's been a really brilliant conversation. I've loved it. I'm so glad that you've come and done this. Guys, I hope you've got something value out of this. I'm just going to tell you that if you want to hear more of what we're doing in these videos and you want to see more of the people like Jannine, just go on to subscribe at tca.fyi/subscribe. Then you'll get notification of all these videos, and you can join us and comment. And please link up with Jannine. Go back to that link tree link here, link tree, that's linktr.ee, Jannine Barron. Get in touch with Jannine, find out what she's got to say, and spend some more time with Jannine. She's got a lot of things that I think are really worthwhile, sort of helping people who are trying to simplify their thinking about eco management and about what they're trying to do within their eco businesses. So Jannine, thank you very much for spending some time with us. I appreciate what you've been saying. Let's look forward to doing a lot more of this sort of thing in the future. Thanks very much for having me. Speak to you all very soon.